In take 1 of the coaching set plays video, we took a good look at penalty kicks and corner kicks. In part 2, we will look very particularly at free kicks and throw-ins. We did say this was not to be the videotape of the 2001 great free kicks or the 1003 winning corners. Rather, we are looking at the principles involved in coaching set plays, as the abilities of players will vary according to age and the level of ability. It is worth reviewing the principles involved to reinforce what we covered in tape 1. The coach will have to go into great detail in planning and organising the set plays, but must be careful on the practice field that he or she does not put the players off by boring repetitions. A key principle for players is to always be alert and alive, the triple A's. It's a state of mind the coach should cultivate. Square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes is something we've continuously talked about in tape 1 in order to make the set plays work. Keeping it simple will often be the difference between scoring and not scoring at set plays. The more touches of the ball that are needed, the greater the chance it has of failing. On the other hand, fakes and distractions by players off the ball can greatly help in drawing attention away from the executed set play. Gifts are something we're always looking for and will always be found on a soccer field through a lack of organisation or a loss of concentration. The spaces and bases for our spacemen on the field means the coach must decide which are the most dangerous spaces at any set play and make sure from an attacking point of view that both the ball and players go into those spaces. On the other hand, from a defending point of view, do you mark the space or do you mark the player looking to go into the dangerous space? That's for you to answer. The assurance of having double cover, particularly at the back, will help when a set play goes wrong. And this will be complemented by making sure the team shape is right to give balance, especially when players are brought out of position to help in the execution of a set play. The actual execution will determine whether you succeed or fail. Often, only 1 or 2 players are involved. We've already talked about gifts, but every player in the area of the ball must be looking for deflections and rebounds to get that so-called lucky goal. Optimistically and skillfully looking for the rebound is not good luck, but good play. And finally, the recovery aspect is critically important at set plays. With players caught on the wrong side of the ball and possibly out of position, everyone must recover as fast as they possibly can to restore position, balance and team shape. We outlined in tape 1 the different terms that are sometimes used for set plays. Every time the game is started or restarted, it begins with a set play. That's why set plays are sometimes called restarts or dead ball situations. The kickoff starts it all, and that's where we'll start in tape 2. But all of the other restart set play situations are important. Goal kicks, throw-ins, even the drop ball. Penalties, free kicks and corner kicks account for the vast majority of set play goals. At the kickoff, most teams look to gain a controlled possession of the ball and very often go backwards away from the opposing team, which has to start in its own defending half. Remember, at the kickoff, the ball must be played forward. The cross is optional. So keeping possession, particularly at the initial kickoff, is a good idea, and it can give many of your players their first touch of the ball and so eliminate those pre-game nerves. Some teams try to be more positive at the kickoff by looking to get possession in the attacking half of the field. It is worth considering penetrating right into the top third of the field. In the graphic, we can see the kickoff pass is played forward and to the right for the next player to send a long, high, diagonal wide ball into the top third of the field. 1 or 2 very quick players starting on the wide left-hand side of the centre line will race into the area the ball is going to in an attempt to either gain possession or at minimum put pressure on the defender who is controlling the ball. If nothing else, it can strike a significant psychological blow from the very start of the game or after conceding a goal. We're going to be aggressive, we're going to look to get forward, we're taking the game to you. But as we've already seen at the higher levels, most teams elect for a controlled possession of the ball, especially from the opening kick-off, playing 1- and 2-touch soccer so that players can get a good feel of the ball. Free kicks for the attacking team, especially in the final third, present an opportunity to score. The attacking team, in its own time, can position its players in the most effective positions in order to increase the chances of success. As the best scoring opportunities occur in the final third of the field, that is where the concentration will be in this video. However, free kicks in the back and middle thirds present a very real opportunity to penetrate into the top third on your own terms and therefore should be practiced. From free kicks out of the bottom third, the thinking should be, can we play it early and long and penetrate behind the opposition's back players? Or can we play it early with a long fading ball that can be accepted by one of our forwards? Alternatively, can we take a quick short free kick, maintain possession and catch the opposition off guard? Or we may play it wide and early, or switch it quickly to the other side of the field and mount an attack from the flanks. If the early opportunity is gone, then we can begin the setting up of a rehearsed set play, particularly involving the two front players. Remember, in the bottom third, the first principle is safety. A team must not chance giving the ball away in the back third of the field, which after all is the opponent's attacking third. Deep in the back third, the goalkeeper takes a short free kick wide, which then presents a good opportunity for a ball to be played towards the front third, as we see here, resulting in a chance of a strike at goal had it not been for a timely interception by the alert goalkeeper. In our second video clip, the white team elect to keep a controlled possession and bring it forward into the middle third. The long forward kick from the yellow player immediately puts the ball into the front third, with the opposition falling backwards towards their own goal. In the middle third, the thinking here is similar to the back third, but in a more positive and optimistic way. Making a mistake here will be less costly than the back third, but caution still must be used. Again, the requirements are being alert and alive. Can a quickly taken free kick, such as a telling chip in behind the defence, give a scoring opportunity? Or can a quickly taken short free kick give possession against an unsuspecting defence and present a number of opportunities, such as running at the heart of the defence? If the quick free kick is not possible, a rehearsed free kick then becomes possible. Here, the white team elect for safe possession, looking to probe the opposing defence on their terms. In the next shot, the blue team is thinking of early penetration into the top third, but are foiled by a good challenge. At the front of the middle third, the white team looked to go around the outside of the blue defence to get in a cross, which was just a little too close to the keeper, but not so far off, as you can see here with the attacking run by the white forward. Once more, a controlled build-up from the midfield allows an opportunity to probe the back defenders of the blue team, and it nearly worked, except good covering and good goalkeeping saves the day. Playing directly into the front players on a work free kick from the middle third nearly pays off here, and this is something that teams should practice from these situations. And finally, from the middle third, can we get a strike on goal? With the line of defence inside the penalty area, a well-flighted outswinging ball into the box produces a half chance at the first header, a great reaction header for the second, and a terrific, if optimistic, run by the garbage collector that didn't bring a reward this time, but will do sooner or later. This is where the excitement intensifies if you are the attacking team, and where anxiety can run rampant if you're on defence. In fluid play, positive players who are prepared to take risks will draw penalties and free kicks from frantic defenders, without the necessity of cheating. You will see in the graphic we are showing the four main areas in the top third of the field where free kicks will be taken from, each with a different set of considerations. The final 10-yard square at the corner flag will not be covered here, as this will present an opportunity similar to attacking corners that we dealt with in Tape 1. So the four key areas are the wide area out towards the touchlines, which we've identified as Zone 4. Zone 3 is the central area on entry into the final third, but still some distance from goal. Many of the free kicks taken from this area will not be faced by a defensive wall. Zone 2 is the space around the angles of the penalty box going right down to the goal line. This space presents a real opportunity of scoring a goal, and free kicks are frequently conceded here as defenders try desperately to prevent attacking players entering into the penalty area. Zone 1, right in front of the goal and on top of the penalty area, gives the very best chance of scoring a goal, particularly when you consider the opposition must be at least 10 yards from the ball. Let's first have a look at Zone 4, free kicks wide in the final third. Certain golden opportunities apply in these situations. Always try to get 2 players on the ball. If the defending team leaves it 2 versus 1, consider getting in behind the defence quickly in a wide position. Even though the rest of the defence seems to be well organised here, getting behind them and forcing them to turn and face their own goal is not a situation defenders want to be in. If a 2-on-1 is not on, look at the defender's line of defence. Is it too far into the goalkeeper or too far out? Is the goalkeeper out of position, maybe too far off the goal line, or too far back from the near post? The execution of the rehearsed set play will depend almost entirely on the personnel you have and the way the opposition elect to defend. For instance, with the defence too far in, a ball played in towards the 6-yard box with the goalkeeper unsighted and impeded will cause problems for the defenders, particularly if you have players there who are good in the air. In these situations, all players should be looking for knockdowns and rebounds as the ball goes into the 6-yard box. A line of defence outside the penalty area, as shown here, gives all kinds of space to be exploited between the back defenders and the goalkeeper. A ball behind the defence, together with the timing of the runs so that attackers are not caught offside, may well present a simple opportunity to score. But with the defending team well positioned and with a correct line of defence, the middle line, there are still very good opportunities to get a strike at goal. However, the execution has to be spot on. 2 players on the ball gives the alternative of either an in-swinging ball or an out-swinging cross. The players who are expected to receive the ball will be looking to attack into one of the 4 spaces shown here. It would help to have some sort of cue regarding what type of ball is going to be played in, as the runs will be different for an outswinger as opposed to an in-swinger. Timing of the runs is vital. There will be a little more time for the player attacking the far areas to adjust the runs than those at the near post. The space in the front area can be very dangerous if used correctly. A run in there will give an opportunity both of a header at goal or a deflection header to be picked up by the 2 players at the back post areas. If the opposition mark that area, which is a good idea as we'll see later, can we pull that player out by an attacker making a short run towards the ball just before the ball is kicked, taking the defender with him and emptying that space? As coach, you must help the players with the timing of their runs. The outswinger will be bending in towards the incoming attacking players, making it easier to contact. The inswinger makes the timing of the run and contact with the ball more difficult, but at the same time it is extremely difficult for the keeper to judge the ball because the slightest deflection gives little reaction time and may well wrong foot the goalkeeper. A guide for the kicker is to split the difference between the rear defender and the goalkeeper. Of course, there is much more to these free kicks from wide positions in terms of the runs, the garbage goals and the rebounds, but we will cover this in more detail when we get to the free kicks from the angles of the penalty area, Zone 2, and those from the central area in front of goal, Zone 1. The principles and methods recommended from the angles of the penalty area and those from central positions should also be applied to the wide free kicks. So let's have a look at the video action to see how the pros exploit free kicks from Zone 4. A well-flighted in-swinging ball to the far post with a line of defence too far in is clinically converted by the big striker. Great goal, great execution, certainly worth looking at again. Two players on the ball here give a number of options and create doubts in the opposition's minds. As we see the in-swing ball go in, we can see the line of defence is way too deep and the ball is scored directly from the free kick. It was a good ball, excellent accuracy, a good goal for the attacking team, but we'll discuss the defence in the next section. Another in-swinger and an attacker placing himself in dangerous space well in front of the near post area. We'll discuss the defending later, but you can see the merest deflection on an in-swinging cross may be all that is needed to wrong-foot the defenders and the goalkeeper. Great execution. Zone 3. The the central free kick position on entry into the final third. Here again, free kicks are frequently conceded in this area as defending teams strive, often desperately, to prevent opponents getting into the shooting zone. In most cases, the distances are too far out from goal to justify a direct shot, unless the opposition, in its wisdom or otherwise, decides to put up a 3 or 4 man wall. This will effectively screen the vision of the keeper, and the swerving, dipping shot around the outside of the wall can blindside and wrong foot the goalkeeper. There are 3 main options open at these type of free kicks. If the defence is disorganised and maybe dropping back towards the penalty area, a quick short free kick can give a 2 versus 1 or a chance to run at the very heart of the defence with 1-2s and other worthwhile gambles. Or, as the defending team is getting organised, the ball can be quickly played wide and present an opportunity of either getting in behind the defence or sending in a telling cross into the heart of the scoring zone. If the defence sets up its line of defence somewhere between the penalty spot and the top of the box, as most teams do, the far post space shown becomes available for a well-rehearsed set play. Once more, it will depend on whether the ball is an outswinger or an in-swinger, but from central positions, without much of an angle to work on, the outswinger most times will be the ball of choice. As we can see in the graphic, a 2 against 2 at the free kick prevents a quick free kick being taken. A wide kick is possible to the player out wide on the left touchline. With our 4 forward players shown here, the timing of their runs is critical in order to prevent being offside and yet to arrive in the spaces at the same time as the ball. When the ball goes in, the distance to goal may be too great for a header to beat a capable goalkeeper. So as we can see here, our 2 players at the near post area spin in anticipation of a ball that is headed back across the goal. As coach, you need to practice the execution and the timing of the runs and the type of headers made. We'll cover that in the coaching methodology section later in the tape. On this free kick from a wider position in zone 3, with 2 players on the ball, an in-swung left-footed ball is played skillfully into the far post area and well met by the striker. Look at that again as the execution is terrific. Once more, we'll have some comment about the defensive setup later. In the next action, we're at the very front of zone 3, close enough to consider a direct shot. It's worth looking very closely at the work of the attacking team off the ball, the fakes and distractions. The shot is great and there might have been a deflection, but the fact is the goalkeeper never moved, and that's attributed to the great screening work by the attackers at both ends of the wall. An outswinger from a wider situation in zone 3 allows the space to be exploited behind the defence at the far post. It's a perfect ball in, perfectly timed run and a perfect header, a perfect play. Finally, from a position at the front of zone 3 and bordering on zone 1, watch the run of the players from the inside of the wall to the outside, performed with perfect timing to receive the pass down the outside of the wall for the goal. But look at the attacker making a run centre goal. He makes no assumptions it will be a goal and is looking for a cross himself or a rebound. Excellent goal, good team play. The defence, well, later. In zone 2, this is where the real stuff of attacking free kicks gets going. Many free kicks are conceded here as defenders desperately try to keep attackers entering the penalty area with the ball. In the next section on defending at free kicks, we've given an indication of how many players are likely to go into a wall at different angles around the penalty area. In these positions at the side, teams will usually put at least 2 players, but it could be as many as 3 or 4. While the wall makes it more difficult to hit a powerful shot at goal, and of course this is the purpose of the wall, it also presents an opportunity. The wall can either unsight the goalkeeper or force the keeper towards the far post to see the ball. Much will depend on how the defending team arranges itself. As the kick gets close to the goal line, then the defending team may decide to defend the goal in a similar way to a corner and put players on each post. The situation changes, but the principles don't. By playing the free kick as a corner, it allows the attacking team to put attacking players right into the 6-yard box and right on top of the goalkeeper. In the situation shown here, think about getting 2 players on the ball from these positions. Then you have the alternative of an in-swinger or an outswinger. Consider bringing in a screen player to extend the wall, making it even worse for the goalkeeper to see the ball, thus opening up the possibility of a near post chipped, bending, dipping shot. In the graphic here, the player in the front near post area empties the space for the in-swinging or out-swinging ball that comes in. This is the trigger that sets off the play, and the timing of the near post run into the now empty space has to be perfect to arrive at the same time as the ball. Similarly, the far post runs have to be timed almost to perfection. Our loiterer, looking for the garbage goal beyond the far post, may have to make up a lot of ground in a short time, so he should be easing in on the blind side of the defence just before the kick is taken. So the alternatives from the situation that we are showing here are many, even though we've placed the defending team in a realistic defending mode. With 2 on the ball, a touch for a dribble in nearest to the goal, particularly if they don't have a bullet man to close down the kicker, can be very effective. The chip and swerve ball just under the bar of the near post is on, with the goalkeeper unsighted or out of position. In-swinging or out-swinging crosses to the near or far posts are available. All will present good opportunities of making contact to score a goal. All will be greatly assisted by fakes and distractions. Throughout the video we've talked about rebounds and garbage goals that frequently occur at set plays around the penalty area. Every player must be ready for such an eventuality. So let's have a look at some real live action. 2 on the ball and an in-swinging right-footed cross gives a great opportunity from a central attacking space for a headed goal. Let's have a look at it again. Great ball in, perfect timing of the run, excellent technique for the headed goal. With the line of defence pushed too far back on the keeper, a shot come cross only needs the merest deflection to bamboozle the defenders and the goalkeeper. Just look at the traffic in front of the keeper. You should always be looking to take advantage of little gifts as we see here, where the bullet man has got himself into a nothing position and allows the ball to be pulled back for the cross. It's a great cross and a perfect finish from a beautifully timed run. Sleepy time and gone south as the defending team gets caught by great initiatives, fakes and distractions, perfectly timed runs and excellent execution. Our 2 attackers coming in at the far post tell us this is a team, not a bunch of individuals. As for rebounds, this takes a bit of beating. Is 3 in the wall too many from here? We'll look at that in the defending at free kicks, but the goalkeeper has to make up a lot of ground from his starting position. But our rebound seeker scores the goal. The defender was a little unlucky not to get to the ball first. The perfect outswinger gives the chance for an attacker to fight to make a contact at the far post, a good, brave, headed goal. As we've already said, the video and the book are not setting out to produce the 2001 great free kicks. Much will depend on 1. You the coach, 2. the players you have, their strengths and their weaknesses, and 3. the response of the opposition. Points 1 and 2 are consistent and under you and your team's control, but then so to a great extent is point 3. So keep it simple, get the execution right, fakes and distractions will improve the chances of scoring, gifts and rebounds will happen. Finally we come to Zone 1, the central area at the front of the penalty box. In these positions the defending team will almost invariably put in a wall. They have to. That wall will have as many as 4 or 5 players in it. It could have more, but that would be a mistake. In the last few years, teams have become much better defending at free kicks. Consequently, these central free kick situations need extra work to take advantage of this great opportunity. As a coach, you must find out 1. Do you have exceptional strikers of the ball? 2. Are they particularly good at power striking, chipping or swerving? Will these players perform in must-produce circumstances? And do you have a leader who can read the situation, make good and quick decisions and help orchestrate the execution? Once again, keep it simple. In order to maximise the chance of scoring, a number of off-the-ball ploys, fakes and distractions can be factored into the equation. Always look for gifts and rebounds. Look at the organisation in the graphic. The opposition have brought every player back. They have little other choice. They have put in a 5-man wall. The bullet man is poised, ready to charge down a touch to the side for a shot. The defender to the right of the wall is looking to prevent the ball being played through, and the 2 central defenders are doing their job, marking in the far post area, with the final player of the defenders looking to prevent the ball being squared back across the top of the penalty area. We have put two screen players to extend the wall. Remember, they don't have to be physically on the end of the wall. Our players can come within 10 yards of the ball. The player to the right of the ball makes a fake run over the top of the ball, and the kick is taken right-footed over the top of the wall and into the far corner. That's if everything goes to plan. However, it doesn't end there. Our attackers must be looking for any rebounds, as we show here. The two screen players need to get themselves back into the game once the kick has been taken. A final word about the screen players. They can stand in position early or come in left and right a split second before the kick is taken to suddenly change the picture and confuse and unsight the goalkeeper. The second example of a free kick from a similar position shows the 2-against-1 situation on the left-hand side of the wall. The attacker makes a run behind the wall, ensuring he stays onside in the hope that he will be tracked by the defender outside the wall. If that happens, then an opportunity is presented for a ball played into the path of the outside player for a shot on an angle at the goal. As with the other play, both players at the far post must be making runs in for rebounds or for a ball played across the goal. Similarly, the player who's taken the marker behind the wall turns in to assist on any rebounds. The two screen players will turn to get themselves back into the play. Another factor of note is the two players on the ball, and particularly the supporting attacker lying square 10 yards outside the box. After the free kick has been played, these become the ring of confidence to keep the pressure on the opposition on a partial clearance. Every player must think recovery if the play fails. These are just two examples of the many different free kicks that could be used. We will see more in the video action. But as we keep repeating, you need to look carefully at your players, pick the best men for the job and practice to near perfection. Keep it simple. With a defence in disarray and with attacking players doing a great job of distracting other defenders, a simple but perfect shot scores the goal. Notice how the defending team has dropped some of its own players onto the very edge of the 6-yard box and further unsighted the keeper. The white attackers have taken full advantage and gone and stood in there as well. The keeper has no chance. In the short corner section, take 1, we suggested a simple corner was to play to a player 3 or 4 yards away and to trap and set up a better angle for the corner. Well, this is just what happens here at the free kick. It looks as if it took a deflection, but the goalkeeper would have had trouble whatever happened with a strong shot like this and with his vision screened. As we saw in our 12 principles for set play success, gifts are always being looked for, and this gifted player here takes full advantage. Being alert and alive enables the team here to exploit the unreadiness of the defence. Great initiative, accurate if not powerful shot, and rebounds. Notice there are 2 blue attackers looking for the rebounds without a defender in sight. The goalkeeper may be blamed by his teammates, but it was a team failure for the red team and a team success for the blues. Fakes and distractions set up this goal with the yellow attackers joining the red team's wall. The run of number 6 is the trigger for the play, and there is nothing complicated about the shot. We'll take a much closer look at this goal in our final shot at the conclusion of this tape. One final word about indirect free kicks inside the box. These kicks can cause enormous problems to the defence, but also the referee, and perhaps for that reason we don't see too many. We'll leave that for the moment and deal with it in the next section on defending at free kicks. While there may be many different types of free kicks, there are not too many variables when defending at free kicks. The number one principle, once more, is attention to detail in planning the defensive organisation, and of course this is the main responsibility of the coach. The second principle of the Triple A's, always alert and alive, is very important as well. We just don't know exactly what the attacking team is going to do and when. The defending team must do everything possible to minimise the chances of the attacking team scoring. So looking once more at the thirds of the field, when the opposing team has a free kick in their back third, our top third, there are a number of simple considerations to be aware of. 1. Not losing concentration and being caught out on a long penetrating free kick. 2. Not allowing the opposition to play easily out of their back, through the defending team being outnumbered and unbalanced. unless of course it's the team strategy to concede high space at these free kicks. Thirdly, and perhaps the most important, is establishing the line of defence to hold the opposition out of the back third. This will also constrict the space and so help the defending front and midfield players. Once the ball is played forward, the defending team must make sure the ball is challenged, particularly long high balls. The goalkeeper can help here by becoming the sweeper keeper up towards the top of the box. Notice the work of the two blue front players, playing in a 4-4-2 and containing the white team as they bring the ball out of the back. Finally, they channel the player through the middle. Whereas here, the yellow team elects to play a long forward ball that has to be challenged by the back defender as his teammates fall into a covering position. From the middle third, penetration into your back third is much more likely. Every player should be recovering into position as quickly as possible while remaining alert and alive, the triple A's, ready for the quick free kick either short or into the strikers or behind the defence. It is important, both in the top third and the middle third, that the opposition are not allowed to get a 2 against 1. A 2 versus 2 with the midfield and the back line shaping off them is the way to go, whether your team is using a high pressure or low pressure system. Once more, the two front players of the blue team are involved in the containing job, with the midfield and back players, although out of camera, but shaping off them. A long forward ball is challenged by the back line at the line of defence. And here are the two blue front players doing the job we've seen them do before, but not expected to chase out to the wings. The midfield and back players are pushed up and forming a line of defence on entry into the back third, and are able to contain and cover the forward ball with the keeper sweeping up behind. Similarly here, when the ball is played forward, the white team has set up its line of defence 15 yards outside the penalty area. Even though the blue attacker makes a good contact, the wide defender meets the ball to clear, covered by the sweeper, who has now dropped back into a more traditional sweeper position. In our own back third, this is where danger is at its greatest. This area gives the opposition the greatest opportunity for getting a strike on goal. The illustration we saw in Chapter 4 shows the 4 critical zones for the free kicks. Here again, all the principles come into play, particularly square pegs in square holes, the best players for the task. The number one priority for defenders is to avoid giving away unnecessary free kicks. But there has to be a point of confrontation as attacking players strive to get into the penalty area. It is better to make a challenge outside the penalty area than inside. The risks are not quite as great. Not that we are condoning foul play, but there has to be a point of confrontation. So let's look at defending in the back third. From free kicks in Zone 4, there's no need for a wall. But we do need to have even numbers to defend against the players on the ball, for example, a 2 versus 2. As we see in the graphic, we must get a 2 against 2 out on the flanks, but we don't need the 2 to form a wall. The 2 defenders are there to neutralise the 2 attackers. The distance from the ball to the goal line will determine just where the line of defence should be. The back and the front lines here would cause real problems in defence. The middle one is about right. The goalkeeper must play a leading role in determining where the line of defence is set up. The line of defence is critical as the start for successful defending. Look at the situations here with regard to the line of defence. The position of the ball will give a guide to the actual line. From deeper positions in Zone 4, the line of defence could be right up on the top of the box. The second line has to be around the penalty area as the free kick is nearer the goal line. And in the case of the third line, 10 to 12 yards from the goal line, the line of defence has been set up across the 6-yard box. From a spaces and bases perspective, there are 4 areas in front of the goalkeeper. We're suggesting that 4 players can look after these areas on a space marking basis. You will have to decide what your system of defending will be. It is critically important, if you're using a space marking system, that players are not dragged out of their space marking bases by fake runs. We mention this in the attacking free kick section, as it would be good for the attacking team to empty the very first space at the front of the areas. The second area is looked after by the second player, the third area by the third player, and of course the fourth player looks after the fourth area. This is not the only way of doing it. In a man-marking system, a different method will be employed, but the dangerous spaces remain the same. The starting position of the goalkeeper is very important, but will vary according to whether the ball is likely to be an in-swinger or an outswinger. Here the goalkeeper is preparing for an outswinger and may be able to come off his line another yard. We've seen this footage before and we've seen the outcome of it. The goalkeeper is responsible for the line of defence and in this case has allowed his teammates to drop right back on him. In the end, the keeper had to position himself to deal with a header at the near post and was powerless to deal with the ball that went in. The coach must work this one out with the players, otherwise it's going to happen again and again. What is the point of the two-man wall here? The white team doesn't have two players on the free kick. One player is enough. The second player just makes it more difficult for the goalkeeper to see the ball. The line of defence seems reasonable, but the defender challenging the goal scorer lets him get inside. Does the two-man wall do anything here? The attacker is not going to score on a direct shot from here unless the defence is all wrong. One player is enough. If they put two on the ball, a 2 versus 2 is necessary, but a wall is not. Look at the player marking the attacker who scores. What's the point of marking from behind? He can't defend from there. He needs to come in front of the attacker and mark the space or drag the attacker away from the danger area. The little deflection by the attacker was all that was needed to score. Here the white defender marks the dangerous space and makes the clearance. Excellent defending. Let's have a look at it again. An in-swinging ball from zone 4 produces an excellent header from the far post space and a good team reaction to look for the counter-attack. As we move into zone 3, the team shape continues to be important. A 2 versus 2 is essential if they put two players on the ball, and a lot will depend on exactly where they put their players as to the exact defensive shape that we use. But the graphic without opposition will give a good idea of where we need to position our players to reduce the possibilities for the opposition. The goalkeeper, both in zone 4 and zone 3, will act as a sweeper keeper, but needs to be careful that he or she is not exposed to a chipped ball. The question in zone 3 is, when does a wall become necessary? You'll need to read the book that partners the video to see the rationale behind the no wall outside the box philosophy. Our contention, if a wall when set up is outside the penalty area, this only helps the opposition and hinders the goalkeeper's performance. That's your decision, and we're not going to go into the detail here. The book will give the detail. In zone 4, we identified the dangerous spaces that balls can be and will be played into, and the same thinking must be applied in zone 3. Whatever the system, zonal or man marking, there are critical spaces that must be marked to enable the defenders to be first to the ball before the opposition. This can be accomplished by either placing players to be responsible for attacking the balls that come into those spaces, zonal marking, or through man markers arriving in those spaces before their marks. From a wide position in zone 3, the far post space markers have lost their positions, and it appears they broke the line of defence too early and so enabled the attacker to stay onside. At the front of zone 3, with the defenders sleeping in, remember the AAAs, the scorer has been allowed to slip undetected behind the wall and gains a 2-yard advantage, more than enough to finish the play. It looks as if the line of defence is too deep as well. Here we are again with the wall, this time 3 players for a shot 30 yards or more from goal. If a keeper with a clear view of the ball cannot stop a shot from this distance, he probably shouldn't be playing in goal. Instead, the wall impedes his vision and looks as if his judgment may have been affected by seeing the ball late. Once more, the defender challenging the goal scorer allows that player to get inside him. What good was the 3-man wall? In the next footage, the free kick is right on the edge of zone 3. A wall is probably desirable here, but what happens is the wall is partly responsible for the goal as the ball deflects off the head of one of its own players. Is this a case for the leaping wall, a defensive innovation of the 90s? An additional 9 inches or 12 inches of height would have saved the day here. This is your call as a coach. From this angle and distance, it should not cause any greater problems for the keeper, even if the free kick was struck low under the wall. The keeper would have adequate viewing and reaction time to deal with it. Now from the central zone, Zone 1, that would be a very different situation. Finally, let's look at some good defending in Zone 3. Although the white team was nearly caught out by not getting a 2 versus 2 10 yards from the kick, the good line of defence and a strong challenge for the ball wins the ball and the free kick. Before moving into Zones 1 and 2, we'll give you a guideline as to how many players are needed in a wall. We have already indicated that in the final third, particularly in central positions, there is a strong case for not having a defending wall that will be 28 yards or more from goal. Adult keepers should comfortably stop shots from those distances with a clear view of the ball and position centre goal. Many free kicks are conceded in the areas around the outside of the penalty box. Why? Well, it's obvious. Attacking players are trying to penetrate into the penalty area with dribbles and passes. Last-ditch defending is better gambled outside the box than inside. While we don't want to concede free kicks, it's better than a penalty kick. So in Zone 2, what has to be done? As quickly as possible, defending players, probably all players with perhaps one exception left upfield, need to come back to cover the opposing players and spaces in and around the penalty area. The keeper decides how many should go in the wall. We're showing 3 here, but there is a good case for using only 2, as this would help improve the goalkeeper's view of the ball without sacrificing the near post coverage. The team should know by pre-arrangement who goes in the wall. The keeper, again from pre-game arrangement, will decide the line of defence, for example, 6-yard line, or between the 6 and the penalty spot. Once more, the coach must decide whether a predominantly man-marking system is to be employed, or whether to use a zonal system where marking space is judged to be more important. If the opposition put 2 players on the free kick, we will need 2 bullet men right and left of the wall. We know from looking at the attacking free kicks in this position that flinging the wall with a screen player will make life much more difficult for the goalkeeper. But there is no benefit in marking the attacking screen player, as it loses a defender to a nothing role and only further impedes the vision of the keeper. The defending team just has to live with it. The graphic shows the 4 critical areas that need to be defended against at free kicks from the angle of the penalty area. The keeper can only do so much. It goes without saying that defending players have to meet the ball when it is played into those spaces before the attackers. Otherwise it could and would be game, set and possibly match. The situation will change depending on an in-swinging ball versus an out-swinging cross. Of course, there will be many variations to free kicks from Zone 2. That's where our 12 key principles for set play success come into action. All defenders need to be prepared, always alert and alive, and ready to react to whatever might happen. We've seen this before, and every credit to the attacking side. But what about the defence? They are camped right in the goalkeeper's territory, and a little deflection made all the difference. Poor defensive organisation just made things worse. In these situations, the line of defence must be up higher, well out of the 6-yard box. Otherwise, it's like the Battle of Mafeking, and anything can happen. And we've seen this one earlier. What is the role of the player to the right of the 2-man wall? Even before that, what's the point of a 2-man wall anyway? One player could do the job here, as there's only one player taking the free kick. The nothing position of the supposed bullet man makes his job impossible. A great cross-in deserves a well-timed attacking run and finish, and the defending team has been well and truly punished for its poor organisation. A non-responsive defence, a loose line of defence, all contribute to a goal conceded. The goalkeeper made a good effort, but was not supported by his defenders. The question is, did he instruct his teammates where that line of defence should be? A 3-man wall or a 2-man wall from here. Certainly the goalkeeper had to be a long way over to see the ball and was unable to make the ground to the near post. The defender was a bit unlucky to be run over by a bulldozer. Finally, a 2-man wall with a line of defence well positioned but beginning to collapse moves into action. But the wall man, by reading the play, the triple A's, breaks and moves into the flight of the intended cross. Organisation will only do so much. The reactions and responses of the players to situations will make the difference. Zone 1 is the most dangerous area for free kicks in the final third, because we're dealing with kicks taken from a central area 10 yards or less from the penalty box. In recent years, fewer goals have been scored from these central positions because teams are much better organised and rehearsed and correctly reacting in these defensive situations. Your team better be one of them. The first question is, how many players are needed in the wall? And this must be established in the pre-game planning and practice. A number greater than 5 in the wall in central positions will impede the vision of the goalkeeper or put the goalkeeper into a disadvantaged position if he's trying to get a view of the ball. We indicated in the graphic earlier the numbers that are normally required at free kicks around the penalty area. In the graphic, we have put in a 5-man wall. The wall requirements as to how many go into the wall should be the responsibility and decision of the goalkeeper. The team should already know the 5 who will go into the wall, and to a certain extent that will depend on your system of play. As coach, you need to help make that decision. Normally, it will include the midfield players, thus leaving the back defenders able to respond better in marking areas and players in the penalty area where in normal play they do their most important defensive work. If you are using 4 midfield players, who is the 5th wall man? Your call. You will see in the illustration we have 3 players not involved in the wall as the line of defence. We've already suggested that even the goalkeeper asks for a wall. If that wall is positioned outside the penalty area, the wall is unnecessary. Once again, that's your decision as a coach, and you need to get the buy-in from the players. So who lines up the wall? Many goalkeepers prefer to do this themselves. The problem is, at a volatile free kick situation, we would prefer to have the goalkeeper composed and ready, not doing shuttle runs between the middle of the goal and the post to make sure the wall is lined up. The alternative is to have a recovering striker get on the line between the ball and the near post as he recovers, and so direct the end man on the wall at the near post as to the position the wall should be in. Generally speaking, the requirement is to have 1 man over beyond the near post and so prevent the ball being swerved around and into the net. Once the wall aligner is finished, where does he go? Well, we've indicated with the arrows that he goes to where the greatest need is. If the right side defender is facing a 2 versus 1, then the aligner will go and join him and make a 2 versus 2. However, in this case, to negate the square ball for the players, the aligner has moved square to the top of the box. On the right side of the wall would be the outside right defender making sure that space is killed. The 2 central defenders are taking up a position towards the far post. Whatever way you make your arrangements, you as a coach must ensure every player knows his job and duties. Generally speaking, the wall will be arranged by height, with the tallest players covering the post and the smallest players towards the middle, but not always. We've put in a tall player second from the middle with the rationale that he is particularly brave and prepared to put his head in the way of a hard-struck free kick towards the far corner of the near post. These are the subtle adjustments you may need to consider. Now have a look at the critical role of the bullet man. Once again, a decision has to be made as to who should be the bullet man. Certainly no one with a faint heart. What should be the angle the bullet man comes in to block a ball that's touched to one side? Some would recommend coming from a straight-on position, but this will impede the vision of the goalkeeper. Coming in from an angle as shown will give the bullet man a chance of extending a right foot to block the ball. And even if the ball takes a deflection, it will give the goalkeeper a much clearer view and time to react. But it's your choice again. So we're in good shape, or are we? As a referee pushes the wall back and the aligner has already moved into his new position, the wall must ensure that they haven't been moved off the angle that's protecting the near post and near post area of the goal. Generally speaking, it will be the second man in who turns his head to look back at the post to make sure the alignment between the ball, the wall and the goal is the correct one. It still would be preferable that the goalkeeper is not making those final adjustments, but that has to be an agreed strategy. The other things that crafty opponents will do is sometimes move the ball a foot or so to one side or the other, effectively putting the wall offline. Here again, the wall and the goalkeeper must stay alert and alive, adjusting to anything that might be done by the referee or the opposition. We've spent a lot of time on this section, but we have to get it as near perfect as we can, with all I's dotted and T's crossed. A final word about the wall. Let's face it, it's a lousy job, but someone's got to do it. They must hold together at some risk of injury to prevent a shot going through it. So here are some pointers using the demonstration 3-man wall. For starters, we don't believe the family jewels need 2 hands to protect them. One should do the job. That frees up the other hand to help consolidate the wall. As you can see, the recommendation here is the shorts of the adjacent player are grabbed and pulled to draw both players together. The coach must decide which hand does what. Left hand is the grabbing hand, right hand is the family jewel hand. This consolidates the wall shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip. The best wall posture is to stand tall but incline the forehead and the chin down, more than our guys are doing here, to decrease the chances of being hit full face and to increase the chances of hitting the thick boned forehead. Not fantastic options, but better than none at all. So when the free kick has been played and the wall has become redundant, it's easy to break away from the shorts hand grab and get back into the action. As soon as the ball is on its way to a second player, the bullet man must respond in a positive, brave, aggressive manner, if only to threaten the kicker who knows that time is fast running out. Better still if the bullet man can get a block. So what happens if the opposition extends the wall? As we've already said, there's no point in marking them. It's a waste of a player or two and does not help the goalkeeper. Should only 4 be required for the wall, then the player likely to arrive last, often a striker, will take up a position outside the wall. As the 4-man wall is usually more towards the wide angle of Zone 1, the most vulnerable area is likely to be in the centre of the penalty area, and that's the position the player released will take, directed by the central defenders. So here are the questions that have to be answered when defending at free kicks close to the penalty area. Is a wall required? Can we delay the taking of the free kick without cheating? What is the line of defence? How many go into the wall? Who goes into the wall? Who lines up the wall? Who is the bullet man and does he or she approach them straight on or at an angle? What adjustments need to be made if they overload the near side of the wall with 2 or 3 players, or overload the situation being policed by the central defenders? These factors should be determined on the practice field and will not vary very much. So let's take a look at real life, the human reactions and human error. Nothing can be assumed. The AAA principle, always alert and alive, is paramount. In this piece of free kick action, not only is the wall in a state of disarray, aided and abetted by the attacker's fakes and distractions, but the line of defence is back on the 6-yard line, making it almost impossible for the goalkeeper to see and react to the shot. Look at it again. The line of defence should be almost level with the wall. The AAAs are not at work here, not for the defending team anyway. They are still working on their organisation when the ball goes in the net. When the ball goes dead, sometimes minds go dead at the same time. One glance at this defending setup gives immediately the impression of being well organised, although some last-second reorganisation is taking place to negate the 2 versus 1 on the near side of the wall. With the line of defence right up to the wall, and with the bullet man giving the goalkeeper a good view of the ball, and with the goalkeeper well positioned, they've covered most of the spaces and bases, even if the free kick had been on target. Similarly here, the 5-man wall, the bullet man, and the 4 other red defenders are ready for action. The wall does its job, but it doesn't finish there. A good response by the red defenders turns defence into attack, and 5 seconds later the red team is asking questions of the yellow defence and their goalkeeper. So in the final analysis, reactions, rebounds, repositioning and counter-attacking will all be considerations once the kick is taken and the ball remains in play. A quick word or two about defending and attacking at indirect free kicks inside the box. As we indicated in the attacking section, indirect free kicks inside the penalty area cause all sorts of problems, not least of all for the referee, who tries to maintain discipline and control. Perhaps for that reason, we don't see too many of them. Here are 2 ways of dealing with the indirect free kick from a defensive viewpoint. It goes without saying that everyone must come back to help at this very dangerous situation. From a position just inside the penalty area, we're suggesting a split wall of 3 covering the near post and 5 covering the far post, with the tallest players on the outside. The goalkeeper has a clear view of the ball, but is back 1 yard or so from the goal line to prevent the chip. Two bullet men are ready to come in from the right and left to put as much pressure as they can on the strikers. In a situation less than 10 yards from goal, from a central position, we suggest once more a split wall, 5+5, with the tallest players on the outside. The goalkeeper needs a clear view of the ball and is slightly in front of the wall to enable the keeper to defend as much of the goal as possible. That will mean that the 10 players in the wall are slightly behind the goal line with the toes touching the line and the keeper forward of them with his or her heels on the goal line. Of course, there is a 10-yard rule, but players must stay on the field of play. With any delay in the taking the shot after the ball has been played from the free kick, the keeper can shuffle forward and close down more of the angle. From an attacking perspective, there are many things you can do. In the first case, just inside the box, the split wall can be filled in by your own players to affect the vision of the keeper. You may not want to do that at a situation less than 10 yards from goal, as your own players may end up blocking your shot. The main requirement is to get the shot off as quickly as possible to negate the blocks and the keeper narrowing the angle, and the kick should be rolled sideways and or backwards to make it more difficult to close down or narrow the angle. The throw-in is the most common set play of all. Frequently the ball goes over the sidelines, either deliberately or from a misplaced pass. As we've already pointed out, much will depend on what part of the field the throw-in is to be taken from. The bottom third, as we said before, is the no-nonsense safety-first area. The middle third would require some caution too. So possession in the bottom and middle thirds is key, unless from the middle third the ball can be projected right into the top third. So from the bottom third, a quick throw to an unmarked, unpressured player, including the goalkeeper, is the way to go. Nowadays, of course, you need to be more careful in using the goalkeeper because of the no-handling rule. The throw for a return ball to an unmarked and clearly unpressured thrower gives good possession in the back third and should be practiced. In the video, a quick throw to the deep defender gives a good controlled possession and enables the ball to be played long and skillfully forward when the pressure threatens. The ball back into the keeper's hands is no longer legal, so care is needed here, but the keeper should be an important outlet on throws in the back third of the field. And if all these simple outlets are threatened, then the throw down the line will work 9 times out of 10. We'll deal with that when we move into the midfield third. In the middle third, once again, a quick throw will often help retain possession. Better still, a quick throw into the top third may present an opportunity of scoring a goal. A more planned long throw over a forward player for a second player to run onto and penetrate into the front third is a great play and one well worth the gamble, particularly with an accomplished long throw specialist. Again, the return ball to the unmarked thrower we highlighted in the bottom third will give controlled possession in the mid-third. A quick throw onto the foot away from the incoming defender gives possession in the tight midfield. That pressure is then relieved by playing back to a covering defender. Triple A is in action as the red player quickly takes the throw to an unmarked teammate who has space to attack down the flank. Another simple throw in the middle third keeps a controlled possession for the yellow team. A more positive middle third throw as the white-shirted midfield player makes a penetrating run forward, producing a one-on-one in the final third and creating a situation where a free kick was won. Watch the body language here as the thrower who has the ball and therefore makes the decision when and if and to who he is going to throw the ball. Here he gets the ball back and plays it early and skillfully forward when pressured. From the back third through the middle third, you can almost guarantee maintaining possession of the ball or to win another throw-in and move the play right into the top third, but only if the play is practiced and understood. Without outlets to an unmarked player and with a thrower under some pressure, the ball down the line will provide a safe option. As you can see in the graphic, The receiver of the ball does not take away his or her space by coming too close to the touchline. 4 to 5 yards from the touchline is a good guide. It is also